Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got play-up props here for you guys on a 9-game slate on Wednesday. Very happy to report that we started tweeting them yesterday and went basically 100%. Terry Rozier got an extra rebound in there that screwed one of them. But like we said, about 7 for 8 on those. Really happy to be able to be coming back with a vengeance. We are going to be looking at, like I said, a 9-game slate tonight. Also got a couple game videos for you, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can follow along with us all season long. Also head to thelines.com. You can check out the picks up there and all the great written content we have for you guys around the NBA this season. Also use that odds finder tool that Nate and I are using every single morning to make sure we're getting the best odds and juice back available on all these bets we're making at NBA player props and otherwise this season. Nate, let's just go ahead and jump right into our first NBA player prop for tonight.
Yeah, we also went 2 for 2 on the game picks, thanks to Joker turning it on in the second half with a monster line, of course. I think he had 63 PRA. The guy is just unbelievable. But I'm going with Steph Curry here for this first one. Speaking of unbelievable, and not really, I don't have a problem with points, assists, or I mean, points is all the way up at 29, but I just want the 5 threes. And again, you're getting better odds than you would expect. Plus 104 at FanDuel. Plus odds for Steph to hit 5 threes when he's averaging 6.7 on 15.7 attempts his last 3 road games, hitting 43% of those. 6 plus threes in the win, if you want to tack one more on, is plus 350 at FanDuel. And I guess you're getting such tempting odds because the Wolves have been playing elite defense against the 3-point line in the last 2 weeks. And I don't care. You can't play defense. Steph is not a scheme you can draw up to deny him from shooting. The Warriors, now they have their full roster, right? They're going to get him open with their scheme, or he can just fire from wherever the hell he wants. His last 5 against the Wolves, he is a tick down from that insane production, but still hitting almost 5 threes per game at 38% on 12.6 attempts, also averaging 30 points, 7 assists, 6.5 rebounds. And despite how good they are overall limiting threes, I mean, they're better on the wing. The Wolves, they're allowing the 4th most threes to point guards and the 5th most points to point guards on the season. So it's not like D'Lo or Ant is doing a lot of that stopping. So I think Steph and Clay both are good bets. Once again, I mean, they've hit their props probably in like 5-6 straight games here, at least when you take just the threes or you take the points with Clay, because he's just been reliable as hell.
Yeah. For Clay, we just kind of keep throwing him in, right? Like you can just count him as a prop that we're taking if he's going to remain at like 20.5 points, which tonight I think they gave him a tick more. Yeah, 22.5 tonight. Look, he's still averaging like 27 a game in his last like 11 games. So, both of these guys, yeah. But Steph with those 7 made threes, those on the road right now in the last 3, I think the 42.5%, like you said, like you can't shape a defense to guard someone 35 feet from the basket, and he's been shooting from there at least a handful of times a game. So on those 16 attempts he's taking. I'm going with a few fringe guys here for my 2 picks. I'll start off with Jeremy Sochan, our boy on the Spurs there, who we've talked about once or twice this season. I think we hit him once earlier this season as well in a get right. It's a good spot for him. 19.5 points and rebounds combined for the Rook, minus 110 on DK there. Or you could just take the boards, as there's great odds on DK at plus 115 for him to get 6 boards. And we're welcoming him to the party officially. Nate dropped 15, 8, and 2 in 33 minutes versus Sac a couple weeks ago, who they're taking on tonight with what's that total at now, 245.5. So there's going to be some points and possessions in that one. Double digits in 7 straight for the kid since in his last 7, like I said, 18 a game, 6 boards and 3.5 assists there. And then, the Kings offense on the road is just not the same. There's probably going to be some more rebounds for the kid. 114 points a game on the road for them versus 123, shooting 33% from deep versus the ridiculous 40% that they're shooting at home for the Kings. So in the last month against power forwards like Sochan, 22 a game and 10 boards that they're allowing to opposition there. So if he's going to get the like 33 to 35 minutes that he got against them a couple weeks ago, he's been averaging at least 28 or so in his last 7, like you talk about there. So I think as long as he's getting the minutes, he's proven that he's pretty vital for them as they continue to tank. It's vital that he's going to be vital for them in the future, and they might as well get him out there and see what they got. He's been performing well.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. They're not tanking. They're playing Spurs ball,
Sorry.
sprawl ball,
Sorry.
and they've got a nice power forward who can fit into that. I mean, a lot of these
Sorry,
beautiful
Adam.
possessions you see from the Spurs lately. Sochan's touching the ball and moving it. He's getting some dimes in addition to these points and rebounds. But I think the rebounds is the best juice here, plus 115, considering the Kings have struggled shooting the ball on the road lately. And I think that's really where you exploit it. But I think the odds are great here overall for him to continue this hot streak. So I'll go with Kristaps Porzingis. Really, I would take any big man against Detroit. Right now, they're giving up the second most paint points and points per game on the season, but much, much worse in January. They've just completely laid out the red carpet, giving up a league high 59.5 paint points in January, along with the fifth worst rebound percentage in that span, and a league high 14 rebounds to power forwards in the last 2 weeks here. Porzingis averaging 25 points, 8.5 rebounds on 34% usage in his last two against Detroit since joining Washington. Bradley Beal was active for that last one. And Porzingis, his numbers were down 20.7 boards, more because it was a blowout than Beal was in there. He does score 2 points per game fewer when Beal's in there, but 1.5 more rebounds per game. Also gets more boards on the road. His last 6 roadies actually filling up the assists as well, 3 assists per game, along with 21 points, 9.5 rebounds. So you can look at PRA 33.5 in addition to just the 31.5 points rebounds I looked at initially. But if he's going to be more of a facilitator, playmaker, even with Beal in there, because he has 12 dimes his last 2 road games, I think you look at Porzingis there. But I'm comfortable still taking him with Beal in the lineup. It's Kyle Kuzma that I think his usage takes a bigger hit. And this matchup is just so great because Detroit is you want to talk about tanking. They do not defend anything.
Yeah, I don't know how they're supposed to at this point with that roster too, but I'm like you said to kick things off, and that was good enough for me. Like I'm taking a big guy against Detroit right now, who's just hemorrhaging points right around there. Right, that's where they're most vulnerable. Marvin Bagley probably out tonight. He's at least questionable, but another great turnstile when he's in there if you want some points down low. So let's finish things off here. Like I said, I'm kind of introducing 2 guys to the show because I don't think we've ever taken a Precious Achiuwa prop on this show in the few years that we've been doing it, Nate. But I will say that we're going with him tonight against Utah. 9.5 boards is plus money. That's because Walker Kessler is down low these days for Utah. But 24.5 points and rebounds as well. That's minus 122. Also, we'll throw out, if you're interested, plus 130 for the double-double. So if you like the 9.5 boards at plus 105, I think we both expect him to get at least 10 points tonight. I think we expect him to get a few more, to be honest, but at least those couple there. So, the double-double gets you a bit more juice on the rebounds, essentially. His last 6 with OG Anunoby out, which is really key for the minutes that he gets and the sort of stats that he's able to put up. 17 points a game, 10.5 boards, and 34 minutes for Precious, which is huge. Chris Boucher's not really getting time these days either, so you can feel pretty good about Precious getting the minutes out there. Last 3 when he was starting, which I think we expect him to do tonight as well, 18.3 a game, and then 12 boards. These are all at Golden State, Portland, and Phoenix in those times. So you're talking about, Golden State is doing a better job of limiting points in the paint down low and rebounds, but Portland, Phoenix, impressive what he did against those teams with a couple pretty good centers down there. Utah in January is allowing the second most chance points, which is crucial here because they are much better in rebounding, back into the top 10 in terms of allowing opponent rebounds per game, which is really, really good. And that's a direct result of Walker Kessler being in there, because if you look at what they did in the lineup through basically December before he got put in the lineup, they were 18th in opponent rebounds per game was Utah. I know we picked on them a bunch more earlier in the season when Kessler was getting like 20 minutes or less, but finally Will Hardy was like, wait, this dude's like at least the third best player on my team right now. I need him in the game. So he's been getting a lot more minutes, but still Zubac had 15 and 12 against the kid. Kyrie, when they were against Utah, went for 48 and 11, getting down into the paint. Utah's defensive rating has been a lot worse, overall. So I think the way that Precious is playing for them in a scrappy offense that we've talked about how bad it is in the half court and relies a lot on second chance points and crashing the offensive boards, it's going to continue to be an important emphasis for Achiuwa, and I think that's why you can continue to rely on his stats without OG in there.
Yeah, I mean, stat stuffing right now when he gets the minutes, it's crazy. We're in this points league. I have Siakam and Achiuwa side by side, and Achiuwa is outscoring him every single night right now because
Damn.
he's getting more points and rebounds, and Siakam is struggling with his shot. Toronto's probably going to be a bit of a seller at the deadline, I think. So just if you do play
Wow.
fantasy basketball and Precious Achiuwa is available, scoop him up. He's probably going to start the rest of the way if Toronto does deal one of those two forwards. So yeah,
It's probably gonna be OG, right?
his props are going nowhere but up. Yeah, maybe OG if they don't want to extend Siakam, but yeah, I mean that would be a blockbuster deal definitely if they deal Siakam. In any case,
Yeah.
yeah, Achua stock arrow pointing up.
Yeah, I like it. No, it's relevant here, and let that be a lesson to you all. Play fantasy basketball. It gives you little insights like this because why the hell else would Nate care about what Precious Achiuwa was doing if he wasn't on his fantasy team? And yeah, that's a great call because if OG does get sent away or Siakam, either one of those guys, then you expect Precious to get a lot more time. Like we said, Chris Boucher is in the doghouse where he lives basically with Nick Nurse, so you can continue to feel good about Precious getting those minutes. And that is all the time we have for you in this one. We're going to look to stay hot with you guys on these player props tonight. Continue to follow along by liking and subscribing to that page. And until we see you next, happy betting.